and a lot of shadows, but still, we were talking a lot later than usual, right? Let's see here, 6.5 hours later than usual. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So it is a Friday. I was going to say morning, but it's not. It's Friday afternoon. Thank you for joining me. Hope you all are having a great day so far. And hopefully, this connection is solid enough to where we can have or get through this discussion today. And out in my normal place. Today, we're going to be talking about an article by Jim Rohn. Great stuff, usually, always has some good insight. And the article's name is Seven Traits of the Most Resilient People. It starts like this: resilience is the ability to return to the original form after being bent, stretched, or compressed. It's the ability to readily recover from illness, depression, or adversity. How would you ever handle if how would you ever handle it if you lost everything you had today? What would your next step be? How long would you be depressed and upset and angry? What would it take for you to pull yourself up and start all over again? How resilient are you? Could you handle it? Could you learn from all your disappointments and start all over again? What would it take? Man, just thinking about that. How many times, looking back in your life, have you ever been in a situation where you find yourself depressed or upset or angry, and how long did you stay there? What was it in your mindset at that time that kept you there, and what was it in your mindset that changed that got you out of there? The article continues with, first, it would take a lot of self discipline. It would take a lot of positive self talk to muster up the energy to begin again. It would take a lot of concentration to block out the noise and the clutter of all the negative voices trying to get through, and they are, as well as the negative voices of others around you. Very important. It would take a lot of discipline to balance the fear and anxiety with the knowing that if you did it once, you can do it all over again. And that's the truth of the matter. It says whether your losses had anything to do with you or not, your future success has everything to do with you. It would take a lot of self-reliance to avoid blame. What's happened has happened. You would need to get on with your life and begin again. If you lost everything tomorrow and we're gathering the courage to try again, it would take a lot of self. You would need to know, you need to know in your heart and mind that you have the skills, the talent, and the strength to do it one more time. And honestly, have it in the reserves that this may not just be one more time. It could take more than one more time, and having that realization that you have what it takes to be able to come back again and again if need be. Hopefully not, but if need be, that's an important thing. Cultivating a resilient character turns failure into success. A resilient person won't give up. A resilient person will, in spite of all obstacles and setbacks, keep doing it until. Now that until depends on you. Until what? Until you get past your depression, until you get past your anger, until you get past your self doubt or negative self image, or until you succeed. And what is success to you? That is the until that has a blank behind it that you have to fill in. In The Resilient Self, authors Stephen and Sybil Wolin list 7 key characteristics that compose resilience. Now, take a look at yourself, who you are as a person, your personality, what makes you you, and think about these 7 traits from the book The Resilient Self and how they fit with you. All right, what kind of percentage are they in you? Here we go. Number one, resilience requires insight. You need to develop the ability to ask yourself tough questions and answer honestly. If you had something to do with your loss, be honest and responsible for it. Why is that important? Well, if you had something to do with your loss, if you had something to do with your failure and you blamed somebody else, you're going to start down the road to try and succeed again, not learning the lesson that you should have learned with this particular failure, and then start looking for excuses on why you failed again. If you had something to do with your loss, be honest and be responsible for it. Number one, resilience requires insight. Looking in, man, not easy, but a very valuable thing to do. Number two, resilience is independent. As a resilient person, you can count on yourself to bounce back into life. And again, like I mentioned, was it the last one or the previous one where they asked Elon Musk what kind of advice would you give to an entrepreneur, right? To keep them motivated. So hey, if you're an entrepreneur, you can't depend on motivation, right? If you need motivation, don't become an entrepreneur because you have to rely on what? Yourself. Resilience is independent. That's number two. Number three, although resilience is independent, it's also tied to others. Wait a minute. Didn't you just say, yeah, I know. The more people you are responsible for, the greater your motivation to begin again. The stronger the reason, the stronger the action. Imagine how many people depend on you. How many people are dependent on your success? I imagine that would be a great motivator, right? So, number three, although resilience is independent, it's also tied to others. Number four, resilience calls for initiative. You need to develop the ability to take charge of the situation, to take charge of the problem. You need to stand up and do whatever's necessary to get back on course. Okay, you're facing a roadblock, a mind block, a setback. What are you going to do? Are you going to sit back and wonder and hope it's going to work itself out? Or are you going to take initiative and try and get past whatever you're facing? That's what percentage of you is that? Resilience calls for initiative. That's number four. We're reading the seven traits of the most resilient people by Jim Rohn from success.com. I'm going to share the link to the article. I should have done that at the beginning. Let me share that on the comments right now. And that way you can check out this article. It's a very short article, but it also gives you a link to the book from which these seven traits of resilient people come from, right? So number five, resilience has an element of creativity. With resilience, you are able to look at a situation and creatively determine the best way out. You are enterprising in your approach towards starting over. Are you a creative person? Are you a creative thinker? And if not, where can you find resources to enhance your creativity when it comes to being resilient? Again, you're able to look at a situation and creatively determine the best way out, or I guess the best way forward, right? You have to, and this in this situation, we are talking about starting over. So again, resilience has an element of creativity. Number six, a resilient person has humor. You may cry until you start laughing, but a sense of humor is so important when turning your life around. You've got to take your goals seriously and you've got to take yourself seriously. But at times, you've also got to be able to laugh at yourself and your situation. Laughing at yourself, not easy, but being able to is honestly a gift. A resilient person has humor. I think that's a pretty large percentage in my personality. Number seven, a resilient person has a strong sense of morality. Whatever you do, whatever you do to get back on your feet, make sure it's moral. Make sure that your upcoming success is at the service, not at the expense of others. Success, if it is yours to keep, must be at the service of others. The more obstacles you face and overcome, the more times you falter and get back on track, the more difficulties you struggle with and conquer, the more resiliency you will naturally develop. If you are resilient, there's nothing that can hold you back. And again, it goes back to when I say we're all built around a core of strength, right? If we have a core of strength inside of us that we can tap into, that we can be torn down to the very basic thing that makes us, that is within us, and it's that core of strength. You need to know that if you fail and you bounce back, it like it says, it's the more times you falter and get back on track, the more difficulties you struggle with and conquer, the more obstacles you face and overcome. That is strengthening your core of strength if you allow it to. If you don't learn from your failures, if you're looking to blame someone else, or if you just decide not to learn the lesson that is given to you by this failure, you're just going to be weakening or dampening that core of strength within you. So you have to make that decision. Again, the seven traits of the most resilient people by Jim Rohn, article on success.com from the book The Resilient Self by authors Stephen and Sybil Wolin. Number one, resilience requires insight. Number two, resilience is independent. Number three, although resilience is independent, it's also tied to others. Number four, resilience calls for initiative. Number five, resilience has an element of creativity. Number six, a resilient person has humor. And number seven, a resilient person has a strong sense of morality. Those are the seven traits of the most resilient people, according to that book. And the link is on the article that I shared the link to on the comments of this particular video. I know I usually do these at 8 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Situation was a little different this time around. We did some traveling, so I was in a different area and I was unable to get started at the allotted time. And I apologize for that, but the I didn't want to let the day go by without doing a Facebook Live today, and I'll be sharing that on my YouTube channel, youtube.com. Look for Algaeman1. That's ALGAEMAN1. You can find all the videos that I do on the Facebook Live. I download them and I upload them to my YouTube page as well. Feel free to share them. And if you do go by the channel, do yourself a favor. Click like, click subscribe. That way, anytime I do a video, you'll get a notification. Turn on the notifications as well. And I sincerely do appreciate you when you do watch these videos, even more so when we share these videos to get this type of information, positive information to as many people as possible. If we can make a positive difference in the world, even a little bit, we're doing something good. If you do something good, if I do something good, and the more people that do something good, we're making a larger good together. So I appreciate you. I thank you very much. And remember, knowledge is power, imagination is king, and intelligence your weapon. Read a good book today, enrich your mind, and above everything, take action. Have yourself a wonderful day. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Until the next time we'll be talking, or until the next time we'll be talking.